course. All right, so I'll introduce myself really fast. I'm Mrs. Couchman. I am the Fielder Elementary Librarian. If you ever get a chance to watch announcements, it's me making a fool of myself every day, or at least once a week. But I love to work with the kids. I am so excited to be talking to parents as well, because home is an extension of school, which is an extension of home, which we all work together, and your kids are amazing. And with me today, as always, is...
Hi, I'm Ms. Stewart. I'm the counselor. And I'm sure I'm a new face to everybody. I'm new this year. To Fielder and to Katie, but have been a counselor for 10 years with another district. But so happy to be here. I've really enjoyed my time here, love meeting everybody, and I love that Kathy, this was actually Kathy's idea, and so I just decided to jump on board.
And I'm glad you did.
I feel like that we have a lot of topics that, and that's the way it usually works. I do a lot of bibliotherapy in my class, read a lot of books, and so it just, a lot of ideas that we have seem to overlap, and so it's just good to get it together and talk with the parents in a different kind of venue.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen now. And I don't know why it says I'm not. Oh, you know what? It would help if I go all the way to the beginning. So you just saw the whole entire presentation really fast. Yep, hope you enjoyed it. It was great. Okay, so we are talking about a makerspace mindset, and the reason why I wanted to talk about that was because it is something that we do here at school. It's a big buzzword in school communities, not so much at home, but this way you'll understand what your student's talking about, as well as maybe have some ideas to do some of these activities at home, especially with a lot of breaks coming up. So this is all of our contact information. That's me over there, being super into Makerspace. And then there's Miss Stewart thinking about why did she want to work with me, because no, I'm kidding. That's her thinking of something to create.
That's right.
Yeah, and she has a website that you can go to. I do have a Canvas page linked to all student Canvases, along with, I regularly post on Twitter and Facebook, library happenings, birthday book club, book suggestions, all sorts of things. So feel free to connect with us there. Now, what is a makerspace exactly? There's lots of different ways that people describe it, and I just pulled 3 different ones. They move all the way from just saying it's a space, like just a space for them to create, all the way up to that they're making rather than consuming. And that really is at the heart of Makerspace. The whole idea is that instead of sitting back and just playing a video game or watching a show or playing with toys, that you create your own video games, create your own videos, create your own toys, like, really being active in the process. And it goes beyond just giving things. That's why I really like the whole exploring interests and making definitions more than just it's a space, because kids love to play with Legos, we know that, but if you just throw some Legos at them, not every kid is going to know what to do exactly. So this is a little video that really explains what a makerspace is. I like these the videos where they kind of spell it all out, so we're going to watch that really fast. So just like I said, it's about exploring, it's about sharing your passions, it's about not being afraid to make mistakes, which is what kids do a lot. I don't know about you. I have two children of my own, ages 7 and 4, and even them, sometimes it's like you ask them to do something and they just stare at you because they're waiting for the next direction, or they just come to you and they say, I'm hungry. And okay, can you go get your own food? Trying to figure out how can I solve my own problem. And it leads into another term, which is called design thinking. And design thinking goes right hand in hand with makerspace. It's pretty much you define a problem and you solve it. It gives that purpose. It goes back to the whole Lego idea where it's someone is calling me. Hang on. It goes to that whole Lego idea where instead of just giving somebody a bunch of Legos and saying just build, maybe give them something to build. Hey, we need a house for all of our Pokemon toys. They need a place to live. Let's build a house for them. Or it's even something like, okay, my tape dispenser broke. What can I do? And then maybe give a bunch of pieces of the different materials and they can create their own tape dispenser. So this right here, these are makerspaces at Fielder in the past. You can see, if you haven't been in Fielder for more than 2 years, this is what the old library looked like. So it's kind of grown and molded and changed based on the more I learned about Makerspace, the more materials that I have. So I've done it this way where I had different stations and just different things that students can use to explore, like over here, and that's kindergarteners and they're coding a little mouse to go to the different pictures on the grid, or they're using Kiva planks, or they're using green screen, or they were building tracks here for their Hot Wheels. And well, yes, it is play, it's purposeful play, and it's that whole idea of I am creating instead of just like passively doing something. Puzzles are fantastic, but there's only one right way to do them. There's no one right way to do all these. These are some more, these were last year's before we shut down. This was around Thanksgiving. Started theming the maker spaces. We had a Thanksgiving one. This one was, we use these little robots. They're called Ozabots, and they had the Kiva planks, which are those wooden planks, and they had to make their own maze and then run the Ozabot through it, and then you see the mice again. This down here, I'm going to play a quick snippet. This is from my Twitter. This was 5th graders that, we were talking about the 50th anniversary of the moon landing, and they decided to create this because their task, I didn't tell them how to do it or what had to be there, but their task was just to create a habitat to live on the moon. So I'm going to go ahead and play that.
Is our oxygen capsule, and this pulls the oxygen from space into it, and these robots transfer it to here, which is where we come to get our oxygen, and that's the helm. Is our...
Okay, so as you see, it's not scientifically factual, but that's fine. They were just creating. They knew that, if you're living on the moon, you're going to need oxygen, and this robot is going to transfer the oxygen over there. So as you can see, this was not super technical. The Ozabot is a little blurry, but these little robots, they didn't actually code them. Those were just, they used them to just kind of go around, but they used cars, they used baskets, they used blocks, they used tape, just simple things that most people have at their houses. And this is a part of a marble run, and they put it all together, and then they could explain why they created it. We had an author visit last year that visited pre-K all the way through 2nd grade. Sadia Farqui, she wrote the Yasmin books, and each station we themed based on a Yasmin book. Like this right here, this is Yasmin the Superhero, and this was a very popular station. They made superhero costumes. they're all different. They just used it's not trash. It's just, you know, like recycled materials that people didn't need anymore. We had a lot of like brown paper and then foam and straws. Again, very low tech, but they're still creating. It's giving them an idea, something to do instead of just here's some materials, figure it out, which a lot of kids have trouble doing. I wanted to share some books that kind of inspire these different aspects of Makerspace, because Makerspace is not just one thing. A lot of people think, oh, it's tools and it's robots and it's, you know, you need a lot of different materials, but you don't. I mean, just kids can use what they have at home. They can use their own toys. They can use cereal boxes. They can use anything. And you can find anything in a book that you can find in I'm sorry. This keeps calling. Stacey, can you take over for just a second?
Sure.
Make sure this is not an emergency.
Gotcha.
Okay.
I was just gonna let y'all know that after we talk about Makerspace, which kids find so incredibly interesting and don't ever have any trouble wanting to do Makerspace, I wanted to talk a little bit about mindset, meaning a lot of kids sometimes will have a fixed mindset or growth mindset, and a lot of times, you know, things at school aren't as fun as Makerspace. And sometimes when those kids who normally might have a growth mindset, they believe in that they have control of their own learning. They know, you know, they believe in themselves and they're very resilient and can feel like they can do anything. But a lot of times, like, the schoolwork just is hard. And it makes things hard at school. And so sometimes these kids, your kids, our students, fall into a fixed mindset trap. And I just want to talk about that a little bit today. Making mistakes are proof that you're trying. And even though a lot of times we tell our kids it's okay to make mistakes, we've got a lot of kids who just are perfectionists, who really are really hard on themselves, and they don't like to make mistakes. They don't like to see that they're doing something wrong. And so it's always nice to know that it's okay not to know, but it's not okay not to try, which is why I just love that Kathy was able to put together something about Makerspace, because there's a table and it's full of this stuff. And of course, kids are, you know, normally creative and curious. And so for them to try, Makerspace makes it easy for them to do that. But so what is mindset? It comes in two forms. We've got fixed and we've got growth. So here's what it looks like. If you have a growth mindset, which when we're doing things like Makerspace, it looks something like this. So even when things get hard, I'm not going to give up. So right, even though I've got this problem and I've got these little boxes and I need to do something with it, if they're having fun, it's okay that they know it's hard, but they can figure something out. I understand that achieving my goals might take time and effort. So they know that if they're building this great big tower, or they've got a project to do, it might take some time. It might take the whole 45 minutes that they have in class. But if they've got this growth mindset, they don't mind that time. They don't mind taking the time to find out how things are, you know, they might be going slow, but there's gonna be an achievement at the end. And then, but what a lot of kids will fall into is this fixed mindset, like it's too hard. And what if I try and it doesn't work? And what if I'm not good enough? Or what if other kids are better at that than me? Or what if mine looks different? And so a lot of times these kids will just fall into, and it becomes a habit. Everything's hard. And then of course, if it's schoolwork and not something fun like Makerspace, that's when, you know, y'all see it as parents at home, you know, when it's time to do homework or study or something like that, it's, you know, picking them up off the floor because they're crying, or they're, you know, dragging their feet to get to the desk to start to study, that sort of thing. So I wanted to talk about coaching a growth mindset, but did you want to go ahead and finish your Makerspace, or do you want me to go ahead and continue, Kathy?
Go back. I apologize for that. Like I said, I wanted to make sure it was not a super emergency because it was 3 calls in a row from the same number.
There you go.
It was not an emergency, so we are okay.
Okay.
All right, so going back to the books, any books, not just picture books, but there's lots of chapter books that can also inspire the growth mindset, makerspace, the whole idea to just keep trying. And I know you said that, you see it more when it's not something fun. So it's one of those things where you want to make it fun, because sitting there, if you just say we're going to build something and we're going to be engineers, we're going to engineer something, that's not always fun. But if you read a story like Pete the Cat, Robo Pete, or this book right here, Robo Sauce, or Boy and Bot, and then say, hey, let's play with a robot or build a robot. These right here, these are robots that we've used in school. I'm not saying you have to go buy them. I just wanted to show some ideas. They all work with an iPad, and you code them, and then they move around and do different things. But these down here, these are more chapter books, because I know there's a lot of picture books out there, but The Wild Robot is a fantastic book. This robot accidentally falls off of in his shipping container, and he ends up in the woods, and then that's when he first turns on. So he has no idea what he is, who he is, what he's supposed to do, and he's in the wild, and he kind of learns and becomes kind of human-like in a way. Ricky Ricotta's Mighty Robot, that's the author of Captain Underpants and Dogman. So if your children are saying, I've read Dogman, I don't want to read anything else, just Dogman, which happens a lot, I would recommend this series. It's illustrated by somebody else. That's why it doesn't look like that. And then Little Robot, this is a graphic novel, a comic, mostly wordless, but very powerful. This little robot is kind of scrapped, and a big robot's coming to try to find him because he escaped the scrapping, and she helps him out. It's pretty fun. There's lots of books to inspire creativity also. I mean, any book that sparks imagination will inspire creativity. These are some specific examples that I like to use. You might have heard some of them in other talks, or your kids talking about them, what they did in school. Ish is a very powerful book written by Peter Reynolds, and he writes a lot of books that inspire creativity. It's just all about a boy that gets really embarrassed about his drawings because they're not perfect, and he crumples them up and he throws them in a corner, but then he finds out his sister keeps taking them and hanging them on her wall, and he says, why are you doing that? And she says, well, because they're wonderful. And he said, but that was supposed to be a tree. It doesn't look like a tree. And she says, well, it's tree-ish. And then that kind of changes his mindset, and he goes back and he draws more because, oh, okay, ish is okay. And really that was powerful for my own daughter, because she's a bit of a perfectionist, and seeing that it's okay to not make it perfect is just fine. Most Magnificent Thing, that is about a girl that wants to make something. She doesn't quite know what, and she keeps collecting things that other people think are kind of throwaway, but she wants to just create what she thinks is magnificent. Maybe Something Beautiful is a true story. It's also available in Spanish, about someone that decorated her whole area. She lived in kind of a poor neighborhood, decorated it with murals, bright murals, and then the whole neighborhood transformed because of that. What do you do with an idea? Kind of personifies an idea. You can see right down here, it looks like a little egg with a crown. And in this book, the boy's saying, what do I do with this? That's his idea right there in that egg. And it follows him around, and he doesn't quite know what to do until one day it hatches. And it's pretty beautiful. Upside Down Magic was just on Disney Plus. So if your kids saw that, they might be interested in this book. This is a chapter book. I will say that obviously I'm always more biased toward the book. The book is completely different from the movie, except for the fact that, yes, Nori, the main character, does have powers that kind of get all mixed up. But besides that, the book's completely different. It's a really big series, and it inspires creativity because she's told again and again that her powers are wrong. Because in this world, the characters, everyone has one of 5 powers. They can either fly, or they can turn invisible, or they can shift into animals, or 2 others. She has the shift into animal power, but hers is what they call wonky. She can't just shift into a kitten. Like on the cover there, she's a dritten. and she can't go to the school she wants to go to, and she's put in a remedial class for kids whose magic is wrong. And then it turns out, it's not wrong, it's just different, and then they're able to do things other people can't. And then Baby Mouse is just a cute graphic novel series where she is constantly, you'll see a panel of the character doing whatever she's doing in her real life, and then also her imagination. It's also a really big series. Lots of books. I lump engineering and architecture together. I know it's not the same, but it can be. There's a lot of parallels. So these are just all books that have to do with building and designing. So this one's pretty fun, From an Idea to Lego. It's nonfiction, and it tells you the story about the creation and invention of Legos. How did that come to be? And then right here, this is kind of a trio of books. There's a whole series of these by this author, Andrea Beatty. This one's Rosie Revere, engineer, but she also writes Iggy Peck, architect, and others along that line. This is a picture book. This is a chapter book. She kind of turned them into chapter books as well. And then this is nonfiction, just a project book. So these are all kind of tied together, some ideas. These others are, this is a comic about, yes, these are kittens doing construction, but it shows things like blueprints. And it's funny because the town mayor needs a new house and the people are just building it wrong. The houses are all upside down for some reason, but the kittens want to do it, but they're told, no, you can't do that. You're just a kitten. And then they show them, oh, look, actually we can, we're pretty good. This book right here, Dreaming Up, that is nonfiction about the story behind architects and building. Little Red Fort, this is a play on The Little Red Hen, where this girl is building a fort and I'm sorry, I can't remember if these are her friends or her brothers. I haven't read it in a while, but it is a gorgeous book, and she wants to build, but they don't want to help her, and she keeps saying, who's going to help me build this? And they keep saying no, and then at the end, they want to play with her, and she says, no, you didn't help me, so I'm going to play in here by myself. This is another series, If I Build a School. There's also If I Build a House, If I Build a Car, and he just talks about what he would do if he could design and create his very own school. It's very imaginative. And this book right here, Monkey with a Tool Belt, it's actually a series on Netflix right now. I did not realize that until I pulled up this picture and saw the Netflix sticker on it. But it's just this monkey uses his tool belt to solve all the problems. He has lots of different ideas. That was just some. There are way more books out there, but we don't have hours and hours for me to go through them. I'd be happy to send you a list if you wanted. But what I want to share right now is I just created, I've been meaning to, finally it's happened, a Makerspace Canvas course. So all of your students have access to Canvas, whether you're KVA or in person, Canvas is still there. And I'm going to be sending out the link in the Monday e-news to self-enroll. Self-enroll just means you click on the link and then it makes you a part of the course, and it'll show up in the dashboard. And so my plan is to fill this with Makerspace challenges. I just have one right now, and all you do is you click on the link. It tells you a little bit about how to do it. It's always linked to literature. I chose that If I Built a School, which also is a blue bonnet book. So if you have a student in grades 3, 4, 5, then this can count towards their 5 books. If you're not quite sure what I'm talking about, on the main library Canvas page, it talks all about blue bonnets, or you can ask your student. So like I said, hey Falcons, welcome to your very first I read the book at home. Pop-ups. It's pretty cool. Like, this is the library that he designs. That would be pretty cool if our library looks like that. At the end, it shows a blueprint and the challenge. So this right here, I'm seeing it as me. So I'm actually going to go back and I'm going to student view so you can see exactly what your student will see. Okay, so you scroll down here and hit reply. And this is where your student has a lot of different choices. They can type what they would have in their own school. You can draw a diagram. You can attach right down here. You can take a picture of something they created. They can use Legos. They can use paper, they can use cardboard, they can use art supplies. They could just take toys. My children do this all the time. Take toys that they already have and just kind of put it together and then describe what they have. Anything in the world that they can create, they can upload right here. It just needs to be a file if you want to upload it, and then it'll be shared with the community. Only Fielder students are able to see the Canvas, but this isn't for a grade. It's just to share, and yes, we will be monitoring it to make sure that there's no untoward comments if someone does do that, and I'll tell all the students that they won't be able to do it anymore. But I don't see that happening. We have a wonderful group of students. They can look at each other's projects, share each other's projects. By share, I mean, like, you know, they're seeing the other person's and the other person will see theirs, and they can hit like and bolster each other up. And like I said, this is just the first one. And my plan is to put many, probably one every other week, if not closer. It just depends on how much time I have in my schedule. But it's a great way to connect the community, have the kids kind of, you know, thinking about it. Also, oh, because I'm on student view. That happens all the time. Leave student view. Also in the library Canvas course, if you scroll down to Makerspace right here, there's a video on what is Makerspace. This is the actual enroll link if you wanted to get started before that. The library Canvas course is linked to every student's Canvas page. Like if you just go to their Canvas and click on their teacher, whether it's math, science, social studies, reading, it should be there, and you can self-enroll. Then I have this right here, virtual Makerspace, which is just, if you click on it, it takes you to a page that has a lot of online creativity things. There's even the Rosie Rivera engineer book being read by an astronaut in space. There's how to draw. There's Scratch, which is a coding program. There's online Lightbright, which, fun fact, I show this to kids and they say, what's a Lightbright? And then I feel really old. But they still like doing it. They just don't know what it is. Let's see. Okay, so that was the end of my part. I know we kind of skipped around a little bit, so we're going to go back to Miss Stewart. And again, if you have any questions or anything, please put them in the chat, or you can email later. But I'm going to go back to where you were. Let's see here. Where were you? Here?
Yeah, go back just a few more. 1 and 2. Yeah, right. Here we go. So yeah, we were just talking about the difference between growth mindset and fixed mindset. And I do get a lot of emails from parents and teachers too, who are like, oh, this kid is just so unmotivated and I'm just not sure what to say or do or whatever. And I have kids who just come and tell me I'm not good enough and I don't like math and it's hard and I don't want to try. And it takes a lot of coaching, actually, is what it is. So to change from this fixed mindset to go to this growth mindset where I can learn by making mistakes and taking risks, and I like myself, and even if my tree doesn't look like a tree, I think it's great, you know. And it takes a little bit of coaching. So the next slide talks about what we can do as parents and teachers and counselors. It talks about coaching. So if you want to just slip over to the there we go. So coaching and growth mindset. This is just, and this is one of these things that it's not an overnight thing. It's definitely something that you need to work at. But you can ask questions at home to help your kid develop more of a growth mindset and try to break them out of that fixed mindset. And it just says, what'd you learn today? You know, and a lot of us ask questions like, how was school? It was terrible because I'm bad at it. So instead, you know, what did you learn? What steps did you make? You know, okay, what was good about today, and what happened that was good, and well, how did you get that way? How was that good and this not good? So, you know, really thinking about the differences so they can understand that even though that, you know, the thing that they did that was good still had steps to it. They still had to do something. It didn't just, you know, magically appear. They had to try at it. And I think a lot of kids sometimes when they get in that fixed mindset forget. You know, I always talk about riding a bike and tying your shoe. Like, that didn't happen overnight. It was hard, but they wanted to do it. And, you know, let's be honest, some kids don't want to learn multiplication, but they have to. So, you know, we kind of have to we have to coach them up a little bit. So, so, and you'll see this in the recording, so I don't want to read all of them to you, but you just want to help them, say, what was the strategy that you used here, or here's a strategy you could use, that type of thing. And just remind them when they were talking about being, not, it's okay to fail. It's okay not to know. It's just okay. It's not okay to not try. And so changing your mindset. So, and this is where we start talking about when a kid says something like, I don't understand, this is a good time to say, well, what am I missing? What? And as adults, that's hard to say too in a meeting. Sometimes I don't understand always what my administration is wanting from me. And I have to realize that, like, well, maybe it's because I missed something. Maybe I need to be retold, or maybe, who knows, maybe they missed telling me something. So you have to ask questions. So, and that's hard for a lot of kids. We have to coach them to do that too. Just giving up, okay, we're not going to give up. Let's go back. Let's try some more strategies. I made a mistake. Making mistakes is fine. That helps you improve. It's too hard. And this is what I hear a lot. It's just too hard. And it's taking time and effort. That, you're right, it's not going to happen overnight. You didn't learn how to ride your bike the first time you hopped on. I hate it when there's that kid that does. But most kids, it takes them a minute. Tying shoes too. I haven't met a kid yet that learned how to tie their shoes the very first time. Tying shoes is big. So I always kind of go back to that. How many times did you have to try? Let's, and it's hard for them to remember, but yes, there were times where they've had to work at it and it didn't come the first day that they were introduced to something. Is my work good enough? If this is the best that you can do, then this is good enough. And I had, my oldest daughter is a perfectionist, and oh my gosh, she would erase holes in her paper for so long. And so I really had to work with her that, like, sometimes it's just not going to look the way that you see it in your head. And this is fine. This is more than good enough. A lot of coaching with that kid. She's a 5th grade teacher now, so she turned out okay. But I spent a good long time coaching her up. I'll never be that smart. Sometimes we're just not smart, but if we try, that's what we need to get to. And I can't read. And that, we've got some students out there who've got dyslexia, who have some learning disabilities or whatever. You do have to train your brain. Again, it's practice. And sometimes kids just don't want to. Okay, so let's talk about some other things that we can do as parents while we're at home. So let's talk about growth mindset versus fixed mindset. Let's just go ahead and give it to them. You're in a fixed mindset. This means that you don't want to try. I want you to be like this. You want you to be like this. A growth mindset, somebody who's willing to take risks, somebody who's proud of their accomplishments. And then as parents, let's go ahead and share some experiences that you've had with growth mindset. When I was a kid or at work right now, hopefully something that they can hear, that an experience that you're having will help them realize that, okay, even adults have some challenging times. How do they get past that? What kind of growth mindset do they have that helps them? What are my mommy and daddy doing that helps them get through the day sometimes? And then let's go ahead, parents, and notice sometimes if you're having a fixed mindset day. Kids see it. They hear you, this is too hard. I don't want to. Okay, let's just give up. It's different when you've practiced something and it's time, to put things away and start fresh another day. That's something different than when they hear you say, I'm just not doing this anymore. And they hear. And so you want to take notice of if that's happening at your house. And that's, you're like, where did my kid get this? A lot of times it's because they hear it. And so that's when you need to, oh my gosh, I just said something, that seems like a fixed mindset. Okay, what can I do? Okay, tomorrow I can try this. I'll think of another way. I'll ask for help, those sorts of things. So let your kids see that, yes, you can get frustrated with something, but that you're willing to do something else to make it happen, that you're willing to fix a problem, that you're willing to work on a challenging piece. Oh my gosh, taxes are coming up. you know, of course, maybe they should always be in bed when I do taxes, but you know, even that easy stuff, you know, on what's that website that lets you do it all by yourself? That's even hard for me sometimes. So model your own growth mindset at home and set some goals. Set some goals for your kiddos, set some goals for yourselves too. It's you know, there needs to be some goals, and when I talk about goals in school, and that's a whole other, you know, different topic, but those SMART goals where they're attainable, and then they're time sensitive, and they don't happen tomorrow. They, you know, they take steps. And so that's what you want kids to see, that there are steps to knowing your multiplication table. There are steps to reading a whole chapter book by yourself. There's steps, you know, and there's baby steps, and you have to keep on growing. And so that's where the power of yet comes in. Like, oh yeah, well, you don't know how to do multiplication yet, but we're going to try. So, you know, you don't know, you know, you can't read a chapter book all by yourself just yet. I'm going to help you. We're going to read a couple of sentences at a time. So, oh my gosh, this is the best thing ever, making mistakes. So Mrs.
I love this video. I
See?
show it to students all the time.
Yep.
I don't know if you've ever seen Meet the Robinsons. If you haven't, it is a really cute movie with a great message. And this is one of the best messages it has. So it's about a minute long.
Okay, that should do it.
It's so exciting. Let her rip, Louis.
Quickly, Uncle Joe can't hold on much longer.
Everybody ready?
Go, Carl. Oh no. No, I didn't know. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
You failed.
And it was awesome. Exceptional.
Outstanding. I did better. From failing, you learn. From success, not so much.
If I gave up every time I failed, I never would have made the meatball cannon.
I never would have made my fireproof pants. Still working out the kinks.
Like my husband always says. I propose a toast to Louis and his brilliant failure. May it lead to success in the future.
Okay, so like I said, I really like to share that with kids because usually they've seen the movie, but if not, it's a fun way to kind of show if you don't fail, you will never succeed. So that is our spiel. Thank you so much for attending. Does anyone have any questions or comments, or is there anything we can do? I'm going to stop recording. Yep. Let me stop sharing.